दयापात्रं धीभक्त्यादिगुणार्णवं यतीन्द्रप्रवणं वन्दे रम्यजामातरं मुनिं रामानुजदयापात्रं ज्ञानवैराग्यभूषणं श्रीमद्वेङ्कटनाथार्यं वन्दे वेदान्तदेशिकं लक्ष्मीनाथसमारम्भां नाथयामुनमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। सर्वेभ्यः श्रीवैष्णवेभ्यो नमः। Adian just gives a small introduction of myself, a humble self. I am based out in Bangalore. Adian has been into the Vedic learning tradition for more than a decade. So, Adian thought that I'll give a small introduction talk about the understanding of Sri Vaishnavism from the Vedic perspective. All Purvacharyas have already spoken a lot about it, and they have composed a lot of works, voluminous works, in which they have hailed the Vishishtadvaita Siddhantam as the core tenet that is preached even among the Vedas, right from Samhita till Upanishads. Now, for us, for Sri Vaishnavas especially, we are known as Ubhaya Vedantis. That is, for us, both Vedas and Vedas and Divya Prabandham, both are like two eyes of us, because both tell us about the supremacy of Bhagavan Sriman Narayana. While the Vedas are called as Pinnalag, the beauty of the back of Bhagavan, Divya Prabandham is termed as Munnalag, the fore beauty of Bhagavan and his Tirumeni. Many Vedic scholars from time immemorial have propounded their own Siddhantam with an understanding of the interpretation of Vedas. However, Ramanuja Siddhantam is time immemorial because it was not a Siddhantam that was started by Ramanujacharya. Rather, it started long way back from Bhagavan till the ancient rishis like Tanka, Dramida, Kapardi, Bodhayana and so on. It is also interesting to note that Vishishtadvaitam is termed as Lakshmi Vishishtadvaitam in the Agamas, especially the Vaikhanasa Agama. So, this proves that the Siddhantam is not something which has been propagated by a specific Acharya, but Bhagavan himself. Various interpretation of Vedas taught that, Bhagavan is formless, Nirgunakaram, and certain sects of the Vedic tradition say that he is Agunakaram, and so on. Certain sects also speak about the supremacy of other devatas like Shiva, Shakti, Ganapati and so on. But upon close inspection into any verse of Vedas that we understand, we see that Bhagavan Sriman Narayana is the sole supreme Lord who is praised throughout the Vedas. Some may ask that we have many verses that praise Devatantaras like Ganapati, Shakti, Shiva and so on. So how do you prove? These Vedas, they cannot be understood as it is. They are metaphorical in nature. Of course, they can be divided into Abheda, Veda and Ghataka Shrutis. But any Shruti Vakya, as per the Purvacharyas, as well as the commenters like Sayana, have to be understood in a way that is applicable in order to comprehend the meaning, rather than taking it straightforward. Now, let me give some examples of Vedic verses which praise Narayana as it is. For example, the Narayana Suktam. Sahasrashirsham Devam Vishwaksham Vishwashambhavam Vishwam Narayanam Devamaksharam Paramam Padam, and so on. There the terminology Narayana is specifically used. And then we have the Narayana Upanishad. Shivascha Narayanaha, Shakrascha Narayanaha, and so on. Which proves that everything is encompassed by Bhagavan Narayana only. And then there are some metaphorical studies which have been contested by people of other traditions. For example, the Purusha Suktam. So here they speak about the primordial Purusha who has multiple, thousands of hands, thousands of eyes, Sahasrashirasha Purusha, Sahasaksha, Sahasrapad, and so on. Now, how does that understanding develop into the fact that Bhagavan Narayana alone is the Supreme Person? Is to the later verses that say that Shrishchate Lakshmishcha Patnyo in Shukla Yajurveda and Hrishchate Lakshmishcha Patnyo in Krishna Yajurveda. So there, easily it is mentioned that the Lord is one whose wives are Shri, Lakshmi and Hari, so on. Which proves that other devatas are not eulogized in these suktams. Then there are certain verses in which a whole new devata is praised. For example, let us take the Rudram Namakam, which starts with Om Namo Bhagavate Rudraya Namaste Rudram Anyava Utota Ishave Namaha, and so on. Even a layman, how can he understand that this does not apply to Rudra? Rather, it applies to Bhagavan Sriman Narayana, who resides as Antaryami among all devatas, is through verses that occur at the end of the Namakam. That is Om Namo Bhagavate Rudraya Vishnave Mrityurme Pahi. The whole Rudram praises Rudra straightforwardly. But at the end, it of the verse, it eulogizes Rudra as being the one who has kept Vishnu as his Antaryami. There are certain rules of Sanskrit grammar and Vaidika Samskrita that are applied to this statement, which I will not go in detail. This is because an introduction talk. So there it specifies that, okay, fine, Mahavishnu is the Antaryami. He is the one who enables the Devatantaras to do their duties based on their positions. So this is proved in a Shruti Vakya, which is not straightforwardly seen as applicable to Mahavishnu, but at the end you have the statement. So these are some parts of Samhita, Upanishad, and so on. And then there are Abheda Shruti Vakyas, like Tattvamasi, and the other Mahavakyas like Prajnanam Brahma, Aham Brahmasmi, and so on. Here, any follower of Advaita directly mentions that, okay, fine, there is no difference between the Paramatman and Jivatman, and both are same, essentially. And so there will come a day when you attain moksha and you become one with God, one with Bhagavan. That is contested by Acharyas of Ishtadvaita in a way to say that, for example, the word Tattvamasi, Tat Tvam Asi, Tat refers to that, Tvam refers to you, and Asi is the existential word. Here, the traditions of Shankara say that Parabrahman is you itself. So you are him, therefore there is no difference. But Acharyas of Vishishtadvaita have specifically mentioned that the word Tat cannot be interpreted as that. Rather than, it will be interpreted as the Saptami Vibhakti, which means to say that in that you are there. Which proves that the whole universe, along with the Chit, Achit, and the Jivatmas, the Chit, Achit, and both of them are within Bhagavan, whose body forms the universe. So these are some examples that I just wanted to quote from Vedic verses to prove that Bhagavan Sriman Narayana is the ultimate supreme reality, and this is praised unequivocally through all the Vedic Shruti Vakyas. Now, along with that, we have Divya Prabandhams. So, Divya Prabandham, how do we say that they are equal to Shruti? Because there were so many contestants who claimed that Divya Prabandham, since they are recited by Alvars who are not of the Brahmana Kula, therefore they are not supposed to be recited in front of Bhagavan, where Vedic verses are recited. Given the fact that the Vedic verses are the breath of Bhagavan himself. Now, if we closely observe, and according to all the Purvacharya statements, we see that all the Divya Prabandhams, they come in the Shrauta tradition only. If you closely observe, until Nathamuni's time, Divya Prabandhams were not in written form. Alvars were all seers of Divya Prabandhams. They sang because all these Prabandham verses, rose out from their mind and got dedicated to Bhagavan himself. So, Divya Prabandhams are Shruti Vakyas and they are Anadi, just like the Vedas. It is Gocharam in this Kali Yuga for the benefit of all the Jivatmas. So, this also comes in the Shrauta tradition. So, this is a small introductory proof to say that both the Vedas and Divya Prabandhams are Shruti Vakyas, and both are supposed to be, they are worshipable, and all that we require is that we need to understand the essence of these so that we go back to Bhagavan. The reason why we need to understand that Bhagavan is praised everywhere in the Vedas is because tomorrow there should not arise a doubt as to say that I don't see any direct verses which are applicable to Bhagavan in the Vedas. So I will not accept. That doubt should not arise. Hence, we need to understand in what context, with what perception the Vedas praise Bhagavan. Now, our Sampradayam, as we all know, starts from Sriman Narayana, and then it comes to Mahalakshmi, Periya Pirati. Now, there arises a question. There are many Vaishnava Sampradayas which are started by Madhvacharya or Vallabhacharya or Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Nimbarkacharya, who are all in the post-Ramanuja period. So, what makes us, we can always choose other Sampradayas as well because they all lead back to Bhagavan Vishnu. But why is it that Ramanuja Sampradaya stands above, or at least it has a totally different perspective, which promises us salvation back to Bhagavan? That we need to understand. One point is, if you closely observe in any other Sampradayas, any Acharya does not promise Bhagavadanubhavam, which is moksham. I use the word interchangeably because for a Sri Vaishnava, moksham is Bhagavadanubhavam. So they do not promise moksham in any other Sampradaya. They say that it is the effort of the Jivatma to do bhakti and attain Bhagavan. It is the effort of the Jivatma to realize its Swarupam based on Nama Sankirtana and attain Bhagavan. Only the Sampradayam of Ramanuja states that salvation is guaranteed for a Prapanna who has done Sharanagati and has Ramanuja Sambandham. It could be in the form of Bhagavata Sambandham or any Acharya Abhimanam as well. So this actually makes the whole concept of Ramanuja Siddhantam to be unique. Another point to be noted is, on a lighter note, all Vaishnava Sampradayas start with Devatantaras like Brahma, Rudra, Sanat Kumara, and so on. Ramanuja Sampradayam starts with Mahalakshmi, who is inseparable to Bhagavan, from Bhagavan, and she is equally the abode of infinite number of divine qualities as much as Bhagavan. This means to say that you are close to a person when the person's wife has some special affection on you. So any work you get done is through through the concept. If you want to approach your father, the best way to approach him is through your mother. So this adds much more value to our Sampradaya. And that also adds conviction that we will never be separated. We will never be abandoned by the Divine Mother, because she takes care of us, since we have surrendered to her and we are her children. This is one uniqueness that we have to understand. So this clears the confusion, the first confusion, that do Vedic texts clearly claim Bhagavan as the Supreme Person? I just gave you examples which clears the confusion that yes, Bhagavan alone is praised. Once that is known, naturally a person has the instinct to take initiation into Vaishnavism. So once he understands that Vaishnavism is the nature of the Jivatma, that he understands that Bhagavan is the Supreme, there comes another question whether different Sampradayas are there and we need to accept or reject them, or why should I accept our Sampradayam, and there also we have the doubt cleared. And once this is done, the next thing that the Prapanna or the Sri Vaishnava has to understand is the initiation that he undergoes in the form of Panchasamskara. There he undergoes Tapta Mudra and so on, and that most of the Sri Vaishnavas in the group know. So I need not explain each and everything. So after this is done, we need to understand the basic tenets of Sri Vaishnavism. While the physical body is now ready to be a part of the servitorship to Bhagavan, the mental attitude of the Sri Vaishnava or the Prapanna should also change accordingly, to understand that the materialistic world is not the world that he has to rejoice in, rather that he has to always seek for Bhagavan's Kainkaryam in one or any other form, either in this world or in the next, in the Leela Vibhuti or in the Nitya Vibhuti. Now there is a verse that Adiyan had composed, which has the basic tenets of Sri Vaishnavism. The verse goes like this. It is in Sanskritam. Srimat Sheshamate Harif Parataraha Tattvatrayam Bhedataha Lakshmi Lakshagata Ubhayash Shruti Acharya Padashyam Mantran Trini Susat Prapatti Sahajam Payanga Sansthapitam Moksham Vishnu Kripadayadi Viditam Tasyanu Bhutim Sada. So we will look at this one by one. Srimat Sheshamate. So the disciplinic succession of Ramanuja is referred as Sheshamata here. Shesha refers to Adi Shesha. So Lakshmana Muni. So in this disciplinic succession of Ramanuja, what are the tenets? Harif Parataraha. Bhagavan Sriman Narayana is the supreme person. He is Ishwaran. Tattvatrayam Bhedataha. There are three tattvas. The Ishwara tattva, Chit and Achit. Sentient and non-sentient. Lakshmi Lakshagata. For any Prapanna to attain Bhagavan, it is through the mediatrix who is Sakshat Mahalakshmi. Through the disciplinic succession from the Prakrutam Acharyan, which follows through the direction of Deshikan or Mamunihal, and then goes back towards Ramanuja, and then goes towards the Alvars, and then Mahalakshmi herself, who recommends the Jivatma to Bhagavan. Ubhayashruti Padam. Ubhayashruti Padam, as explained before, refers to Vedas and Divya Prabandhas, which are both Shruti-Vakyas to us. Padashrayam, this is very important for a Prapanna. Even when Bhagavan himself has some Nishturam towards the Jivatma, since the Jivatma has undergone lot of birth and death cycles and still prone to Purva Karma Vasanas, all the past karmas. Although Bhagavan is Apahata Papma, he is devoid of all blemishes and he is full of compassion. Still, the Jivatma's karma creates some Leela kind of Nishturam in Bhagavan. In that case, Bhagavan himself does not feel that the Daya of Bhagavan is not easily comprehensible by the Jivatma. In that case, Acharya comes into the picture, whose lotus feet, if surrendered unto, will ensure that he will take us back to Bhagavan. Acharya Padashrayam. Mantran Trini. For a Sri Vaishnava, there are three essential mantras. One is the Ashtakshari mantram, one is the Dvayam, another is the Charama Shlokam. So these are like the Tripundram for the Sri Vaishnava. Susat Prapatti Sahajam, irrespective of any kind of yoga a Jivatma does, which could be karma, bhakti, jnana, hatha yoga, ashtanga yoga, and so on. Prapatti is the essential nature of the Jivatma that leads to. And then you have the Panchanga. So how is Prapatti done? And what is the attributes that add to the nature of Prapatti is these Panchangas. That is Anukulasya Sankalpaha, Pratikulasya Varjanam, and so on. Moksham Vishnu Kripa Dayadi Viditam. So, if a Jivatma has to attain Moksham, it is only through the Nirhetuka Kripai of Bhagavan, the causeless mercy. It happens without any cause, whether the Jivatma has done Punyam or Papam, those are all washed away, because once the Jivatma does Sharanagati to Bhagavan, it is the Bhagavan's responsibility to take him back. And that is why Bhagavan showers his compassion and causeless mercy upon the Jivatma. Tasyanu Bhutim Sada. Once this is achieved, so what is the definition of Moksham? For a Sri Vaishnava, Moksham is not Atmanubhavam, it is Bhagavad Anubhavam. We rejoice in doing Kainkaryams, doing service to Bhagavan, even during Moksham. Srimat Sheshamate Harif Parataraha Tattvatrayam Bhedataha Lakshmi Lakshya Gato Bhaya Shruti Padam Acharya Padashrayam Mantran Trini Susat Prapatti Sahajam Panchanga Samsthapitam Moksham Vishnu Kripadayadi Viditam Bhutim Sada. Understands the basic tenets. Now he is prepared, Sri Vaishnava is prepared. He is mentally as well as physically to understand that There is no other goal in life. The sadhya for a Jivatma is Bhagavad Kainkaryam, both in Leela Vibhuti and Nitya Vibhuti. There are some other points I'll just tell in brief, which will add value to what is the nature of a Sri Vaishnava in daily life. One thing is the Sri Vaishnava has to think that he is always a dasan to Bhagavan, Bhagavatas, Acharyas. For him, they are his world. This is one thing he has to understand. This is one of the part of Anukulasya Sankalpaha. Then Pratikulasya Varjanam. He avoids people who are creating any problem or disturbance in his way of Kainkaryam towards Bhagavan. So he will not indulge in practices that will harm his path towards rejoicing the pastimes as well as the supremacy of Bhagavan. And he regularly worships Bhagavan in the form of Saligramam or Vigraha Radhana, Shri Divyamanga Vigraham, and so on. And he also, these are all some attributes which add value. His visiting of Divya Reshams, doing Kainkaryams there in the form of anything, any small Kainkaryam as possible. And he is free from Arishad Vargas, Kama Krodhadi, haughtiness, greed, and so on. And always he strives to get the mercy of Bhagavan and Bhagavatas along with Acharyas. He does not desire for a very long life. What he desires is a short life wherein he will be able to perform maximum service, maximum seva to all the Bhagavatas and shall not do any kind of apacharams to Bhagavatas and Bhagavan. And he cares. There is one more concept where people say that a Prapanna, since he is situated in always Bhagavan's service, he does not care about his physical body. This is not a correct notion. A Prapanna maintains his physical body in a view that he will be able to do better service to Bhagavan as much as possible, better Kainkaryam to Bhagavatas. For him, Sharira Madhyam Kalu Dharma Sadhanam. Here, Dharma is Paramarthika Dharma, and that refers to doing Kainkaryams to Bhagavan, Sriman Narayana. Another thing is, which is very special to Ramanuja Sampradaya, is a Prapanna does not just limit to his own mokshan. Rather, he also wants other Jivatmas to attain liberation, moksham, Bhagavad Anugraham. We have seen in stories of great stalwarts like Pillai Lokacharya. So, these are some aspects that the Sri Vaishnava has to follow in his life. And always he wishes to do Kainkaryams in temples, in places where Prapannas live, in any form that he can. This is one of the attributes. And another thing he maintains is he always praises Bhagavatas and Bhagavan. He always praises his Acharya. He always praises the good qualities of other Bhagavatas, even though he finds the other Bhagavata has certain bad qualities also. He does not concentrate on that. Since Ramanuja Mata is a Vaidika Mata, he gives equal importance to Vaidika Karyams of any kind, but with a mind that it is always Bhagavat Kainkaryam and it is for Bhagavat Preeti, which means to say that it is always part of service to Bhagavan and it is for the joy of Bhagavan. Although Bhagavan is self-sufficient, it is only that he wants to protect the servitorship of the Jivatma, that the Jivatma has to do the duties in order to please Bhagavan. Since it is a part which is conducive to enhance his Prapannatvam, that is his servitorship, he understands that the very nature of any kind of karma, for example, Sandhya Vandana, it does not give him moksha. He understands that. Because any Jivatma is always imperfect in doing any kind of yoga, which has been proved by Bhagavan in Bhagavad Gita's Charma Shlokam. So, Bhakti, Jnanadi, whatever the Jivatma does, he knows that the effort is always imperfect, and it is Bhagavan's Nirhetuka Krupa alone that provides him eternal bliss. So these are some aspects that the Bhagavata or the Prapanna concentrates. And there are some things which he will avoid to do. He should avoid to do. One is he should not equate any other Devatantaras with Narayana. For him, Supreme Person is Sriman Narayana and all Devatas under him. And he will also not do any kind of apacharams to the Sri Vigraha, Divya Mangala Tirumeni of Bhagavan in any form. For example, concluding it to be made of silver, gold, copper, and so on. There is no distinction. It is Sakshat Bhagavan himself, which is claimed from the Vedic texts as well, with a verse Anoraniyan Mahato Mahiyan Atma Guhayam Nihitosya Janto. Since Bhagavan exists as Antaryami in all Chit and Achit, the essence of Bhagavan is not lost, and the comparison of Tirumeni should not be done. And he will also not show any kind of disrespect towards any acharyas of any branches of Sri Vaishnavism. For him, all acharyas are equal, all acharyas are worshipable, and they are the standing representatives of Sakshat Ramanujar himself. He does not show any kind of jealousy, intolerance, and so on. And one more important point is, a Prapanna should never make caste distinctions between his fellow Sri Vaishnavas, irrespective of whichever Varna they may come from. The Varnashram Dharma, though it is followed, he shall not make any distinctions, which is a great Bhagavad Apacharam. So these are some of the points that I just thought as an introduction talk. All these topics that I have covered, right from the Vedic texts till the Dinachari of a Sri Vaishnava. This is the process how that our acharyas have given, so that at the end of our life on this earth, we understand that Bhagavan is the Supreme Person who takes care of every living being in this world. And therefore, our job as a Jivatma here is to get enlightened, is to do maximum servitorship of Bhagavan and Bhagavatas, and thus lead a very meaningful life. So these were some of the topics, and again, I'm very thankful for giving me an opportunity to provide some basic inputs. Again, I'm thinking of following with such small talks in future, where again concentrate on Vedic texts specifically to prove the Paratma of Bhagavan in future, so that every layman should understand the whole point of Bhagavan's status described in the Vedas. So,
sure, Swami. Sure, Swami. Just adding a point here, we just have 1 minute and more before the meeting gets disconnected. What we can do is we can wait till that time and we can rejoin after it gets disconnected. Before that, all this recording, whatever currently Adian is speaking, that is also getting recorded. So
sure, Swami.
Yeah, we'll wait for that time and we can continue. And later the Q&A session will be also recorded, if you have any questions on the topic which Swami has
Yes,
spoken,
Swami.
so that can also be
Yes.
recorded and can also be provided for the other listeners also. So please bear
Sure, Swami. Yeah, yeah.
the delay here, Tadiya.
Questions are welcome, so that the discussion becomes much more interesting with questions.
Jai Shriman Narayana.
Jai Shriman Narayana.
Swami, when one thing is different from other, like Brahman is different from its body, then how does, by knowing the Brahman, everything is known?
See, the basic tenet of Shiva